Defeat is not a blow struck from the outside. It is not the words of critics, not the failures etched in yesterday's attempts, not the locked doors or empty pockets. Defeat begins only when a man or woman accepts it in the hidden chambers of the mind. And so long as you refuse it, so long as you do not let it take root in your spirit, you are never defeated, you are merely in training. History is written by those who understood this truth. Thomas Edison burned through thousands of experiments, watching his ideas collapse, his filaments burn out, his nights stretch into endless frustration. But when asked if he had failed, Edison smiled with the fire of certainty. I have not failed. I've simply found 10,000 ways that will not work. That is the spirit of victory. That is the iron law that makes the impossible possible. Defeat exists only in the mind. When you study the lives of the titans of progress, Carnegie rising from the dirt of Pittsburgh steel mills, Ford shaping an assembly line from chaos, Lincoln clawing through political loss after political loss until the presidency finally bent to his relentless will, you discover the same thread woven through them all: unbreakable resilience. They lived by an inner command that said, "You may knock me down, but you will not convince me to stay down." And that is the difference between those who rise to glory and those who fade into excuses. Think about your own mind for a moment. Every day you are bombarded with images, opinions, whispers of doubt, reasons to stop. The world is a battlefield of distraction and discouragement. But here lies the secret: your mind is the general of that battlefield, commands every soldier of thought. If you let fear carry the flag, your army retreats. But if you let faith, vision, and relentless willpower carry the standard, then no army of circumstance can conquer you. Look at Walt Disney, fired from his first job because his editor said he had no imagination, bankrupted, laughed out of offices, told that his mouse was too small, too childish, too ridiculous to be worth anything. Yet he held an empire in his imagination before it ever rose in Florida swamps or California hills. And he knew the greatest secret: that the world bends to the stubborn dreamer who refuses to declare defeat. That is why children today walk through castles that once lived only in the foolish sketches of a man who simply would not quit. You must understand, every rejection, every failure, every closed door is not the voice of finality. It is the universe's test, asking you one question. Do you really mean it? Do you want it enough to suffer for it? Do you want it enough to look like a fool while you pursue it? Do you want it enough to see others succeed faster while you remain in the shadows? Because if you do, and if you keep moving forward anyway, then time itself must eventually bow to you. Defeat only becomes real when your belief dies. And belief is not some soft hope. It is a weapon. It is steel sharpened by discipline, honed by vision, polished by relentless action. When Andrew Carnegie stood as a poor immigrant boy, working 12 hours in a factory, earning barely enough to survive, he did not see himself as a victim. He saw himself as a man in preparation, destined to control industries, destined to reshape the world of business. That belief, carried day after day, forged in sweat and hardship, became reality. Do not think for a moment that greatness is reserved for the chosen. No, it is carved by those who choose themselves. The soil of history is littered with forgotten names of men and women who quit at the threshold, who accepted the lie of defeat. And above them stand the monuments of those who refused. There is a fire waiting inside you, one that can melt every chain, every doubt, every so-called defeat. And above them stand the monuments of those who refused. There is a fire waiting inside you, one that can melt every chain, every doubt, every so-called defeat. But you must be willing to protect it, to guard it with discipline and feed it with vision. Because the world will try to pour water on it, to suffocate it, to smother your spark under ridicule, under comfort, under distraction. And only you can decide if your fire survives. Understand this deeply: your mind is the master key. Napoleon Hill declared it, and time has proven it. Every fortune begins as an idea, every empire as a vision, every triumph as a belief held so firmly that the world eventually concedes. The circumstances around you do not matter half as much as the thoughts within you. For if your mind declares victory, defeat has no power. If your spirit declares persistence, failure becomes nothing but fuel. And if your heart declares purpose, no obstacle can silence it. So do not ask whether life is fair. Do not waste breath questioning whether you are ready. Ask instead, am I willing to refuse defeat? Am I willing to rise one more time than I fall? Am I willing to fight, to endure, to believe, even when the night is darkest? Because if your answer is yes, then hear this truth. You are already undefeatable. You see, life will never hand you crowns for free. Tests, it pushes, it breaks, and it bends. It whispers in your ear at night, give up, it's too much. It's not for you. And those who listen to that whisper join the long parade of the defeated. But those who answer back with courage, those who speak to themselves with a voice louder than fear, those who say, no, I will not surrender. I will not let this moment define me. They are the ones who carve their names into eternity. Do not misunderstand. Persistence is not glamorous. It does not shine like the final trophy. It looks like sweat on your brow, dirt under your nails, long nights where nobody sees your work, endless days where the results seem invisible. It feels like silence while the world celebrates others. But persistence is the furnace in which every diamond of achievement is made. Take Abraham Lincoln. Before he became one of the most revered presidents in history, he endured a lifetime of defeats. He failed in business. He lost elections repeatedly. He battled depression so heavy that it threatened to bury him. But through it all, he held onto the one truth, that defeat exists only in the mind. He refused to believe that his setbacks defined him. And when his moment finally came, when the nation was fractured and bleeding, it was his persistence, his refusal to bow, that saved a union and gave hope to generations. Think of Henry Ford, too. The world saw a man with broken attempts, bankrupt companies, endless ridicule. They told him the automobile would never replace the horse, that his dream was foolish. But Ford's mind did not surrender. He envisioned a future of cars lined on every street, not as a luxury for the wealthy, but as a tool for the common man. And he did not stop until the world bent to his vision. The assembly line was not just a method, it was the physical embodiment of a man who refused to accept defeat. And so the question for you becomes, what vision burns in your mind so fiercely that you cannot ignore it? What dream calls to you so loudly that even in your lowest moments, it refuses to be silenced? Because if you have that vision, if you guard it as your most sacred possession, no obstacle will stand forever in your way. You must see your failures not as graves, but as stepping stones. Every misstep is a brick on the road to mastery. Every rejection is a hidden gift of preparation. Every no you hear is carving out the space for the final yes that changes everything. Do not despise your struggles. They are sharpening your mind, hardening your spirit, making you fit for the throne you seek. There is an ancient truth. The tallest mountains grow in the harshest storms. And so it is with you. The storms of life are not punishments. They are invitations. They come to test the strength of your roots, to see if you will break or bend, to see if you will curse the wind or learn to ride it. And those who choose to rise with the storm, to face it head-on, emerge with strength that the sheltered will never know. Gratitude, too, is a secret weapon against defeat. For gratitude shifts the battlefield. When the world screams of what you lack, gratitude whispers of what you already hold. When defeat tempts you to curse your circumstances, gratitude reminds you of the blessings still within your reach. Your breath, your mind, your opportunity to try again. And when you approach life with gratitude, you rob defeat of its poison. Because a grateful heart cannot be conquered. It sees every failure as growth, every setback as training, every delay as preparation. The mind is the engine, but discipline is the fuel. Discipline is the act of showing up when no applause is heard, of keeping your promise to yourself when nobody else would notice if you broke it. Discipline is the quiet, daily rebellion against comfort. And without it, belief collapses into wishful thinking. But with it, belief transforms into a living force, one that bends reality in your favor. Think of the early mornings of the great builders, the late nights of the dreamers, the endless repetition of practice that forged champions. None of it looked glorious in the moment. Yet discipline carried them across the threshold where talent alone would have failed. Michelangelo once said, "If people knew how hard I had to work to gain my mastery, it would not seem so wonderful at all." That is the price of greatness, the price you must be willing to pay. So let me tell you again, defeat exists only in the mind. The world will never defeat you until you decide that you are defeated.